So, let's begin our second A session. And as a first, floor is for Patrick Franzen and Milton Nunez. Topic is research history of Finnish amber finds. Please.
Oliko meillä siis tämä näin? Tämä on se minun esitelmä.
Onko se sinun esitelmä? Joo, joo.
It's all right if you could come here.
Joo. Okay.
So, yes, my microphone. So, some words about myself. I've been working as an archaeologist in several excavations in northern Finland, nearby city of Oulu. And then I worked in Stone Age Museum for 15 years, I remember. And right now I'm working with a museum branch of city of Oulu as taking charge of the certain museum branch there. And right now I'm doing my PhD of Finnish amber founds. And why is the amber is of course the excavations. I took part in the 90s and I felt love with the amber then. So I'm right now continuing that work. So right now I'm going to have a overview of Finnish amber founds, Neolithic amber founds. Actually, most of the amber founds are Neolithic. Just a few could be as late as Bronze Age, but let's say they are almost all Neolithic. So here is the first slide is the years and founds. How many founds has been found in certain decades? And as we can see, it's the starting point before 50s. It was very slow, but still the first found is from 1874. That was the starting point of the Finnish amber finds. And then we can see the big increase in the 50s and even bigger increase of founds in the 90s. And there is several reasons for that. So here's the three phases of the amber founds of history of amber research in Finland. Actually, you can see the first found, which is in the left side, is a human-faced amber pendant from Karelian Isthmus, which was part of Finland, but it's not anymore. Or how does it work? This one is from Karelian Isthmus, which is now part of Russian. So as we can see, the founds are in the first phase. Most of the founds are actually in the Karelian Isthmus area. There was big roadworks and so on. But mostly the founds are stray founds. Some of them are from excavations. But the big increase did happen in the second phase, which is this one here, and especially in late 50s, when there was found new first red ochre graves in Finland, and it completely changed the picture of Finnish amber finds. Amount of amber finds were multiplied, and the actually the red ochre graves, which has been excavated then, is in the southwest part of the Finland, 3 big cemeteries. And later on, there has been found red ochre graves with amber in the middle of Finland and also eastern Finland. And here is some founds from Kokemäki, and they are covered with red ochre. And there is a lot of similarities with burials in Tsvenekia and Latvia, and actually it seems to be almost identical. There is also found red clay rings, and they are also very rich graves. For example, one red ochre grave in Eura. Here, there was found from one single grave almost 80 amber founds from very small area. And the other very interesting and important new investigations in the second period was in northern Finland. Here was done big excavations because the rivers were built. There was hydroelectrical power stations built in big rivers like Oulu, Kemi River, Iijoki River, and there was a lot of excavations done there. And a lot of new founds were found, and especially one place which is here, it is called Kierikki, which is right now actually it is the most intense amber found area in Finland. Almost 1/4 of the finds are coming from that Kierikki area. And next important thing happened in the 19th when there was starting to excavate the house depressions. And a lot of depressions were found. Actually, the most house depressions were found in the 90s. Before that, there was only a few founds, but now there is a number of the house depressions are hundreds and hundreds. I can't say the actual number. But it brought a lot of finds from this area. Here is a lot of house depressions and also Kierikki area. So this area was increased, and also the eastern part of the Finland was increased because of excavations at the house depressions areas. So here's, for example, a few finds from Kierikki area, pendants. And current situation is here. As you can see, there is a lot of find areas, a lot of red dots in the Finnish map. Almost all Finland is covered, except the most northern part of the Finland. Here is one late amber find from Ounasjoki River. And also interesting is that the Åland Island is totally lacking of finds, though there has been done a lot of excavations, but still it's still lacking of. But surely there will be coming a new finds in the northern Finland in the future, I believe so. And the finds are, most of the finds are pendants. Then there is buttons, then beds, rings and discs, and idol figurines. I will tell more about the idol figurines. For example, in the first slide, there was one idol figurine, the human-faced. There is also other. At Kukkarkoski, there is one with a human face. There is Outokumpu, there is one. And that Metsäpirtti. And there is also 3 find from the water at Astuvansalmi. By the rock painting, there has been done excavations in the early 90s, and there has been found 3 human-faced amber find just beside the rock painting area. And they are, of course, in the pristine condition because they have been into the water for thousands of years. And there is also one animal figurine from that same place. So total amount of idol figurines made of amber is almost 10. And there is also one double axe, which is interesting. It is found at Rovaniemi. So just beside the Neolithic excavation area, find area, there is also one double axe find, and that is very interesting because it's a typical find comparing to southern Scandinavia, and it's just in the Lapland, in the middle of the Neolithic site. It is very interesting. I don't know if you can see here, nothing, but I have include here some top sites of the Finnish amber finds, and first is Kolmhaara, Eura. There is almost 80 finds. Joroinen in the middle Finland, 76. Kaustinen, there is also red ochre graves. All the finds are from red ochre graves. Kukkarkoski, over almost 150 finds, and so on. And also the Kierki area, Kuuslankangas, it's over 100 finds. So totally the finds are almost 1,100 in Finland. That 1,100 numbers, 1,100 numbers of amber finds. There is also some fragments included, so they are not all of them are not one big amber finds. So what kind of area the amber are coming from? We can see from the numbers here, most of the Finnish amber finds are coming from semi-subterranean house settlement areas. So not from the graves. So they are mostly shattered all around the site and with no connection to each other. And it's also impossible to make any connection to each other. They are just most of them are just lost amber finds in Stone Age for some reason. Next one is the graves, 366 founds, and those are also in a very good condition because they are in situ find, and few stray finds and water and bog finds. The number is 8. I have here included one side, Kierikki, which is very familiar to me because I've been working there also as an archaeologist, and I have to explain the text are in Finnish. So this is the earliest period, typical compare period, so oldest period. The blue one is number of the finds, and yellow is the grams. I have went through all the Finnish finds. I have measured and in every possible way the amber. I guess I had too much time then. Okay, so we can see that in the earliest period there isn't so much amber finds. This could relative to beginning of Middle Neolithic, and few hundred years older. There is most of the finds are from that period. This is mixture. This is hard to tell what period it does belong, because there is a mixture of ceramics and so on. But we can see that in the northern part of Finland, the main wave of the amber came in a later period, not in the early period like a Konference period. Still, there is also a lot of some of the finds from Konference ceramics. And here some finds, older finds from Kierki Island. Here's Kuuslankangas. Here's also one pendant, which is probably from the late period. And well, I can explain what does it mean. The early period starts from 4000 BC and lasts to 3400 BC calibrated. And this is starting from 3400 BC calibrated. So this is very interesting amber find from Kierki, because here you can see the there's 7 lines curved, and I haven't seen anything like that before, but maybe I will get new information from you that is there similar decoration found from Baltic amber. Still, it's very interesting. And this amber was found in many pieces, but fortunately every piece has found, so it could be glued together. So here is the finds. I will go to the next slide. Maybe it gives a little better. So here is the amount of the amber find in Finland comparing the excavation area. So if there has been excavated a big area and just a few amber finds, there is a smaller dot. I don't know if this map tells anything, but still it's included here. But still it tells us that especially in the first period, Konference period, the southwest area and also in the seashore, this area has been a seashore in Neolithic times, but because of the land rise, the shore has been moved to the west, so we can easily see the Stone Age seashore here. But anyhow, the main reason of this slide is to show that there has been, well, I believe that, and also some other believe that there has been a very close connection from the southwest area to the Baltic countries, because burials are really same kind of. And I really believe that the connection is much tighter than just a trade. And the blue dots here are later periods. Oops, sorry. Yes, so blue one is later periods, and it seems that there has been a connection in later periods, maybe to the White Sea, I would say. So this is the current situation here in Finland, and I believe that there will be coming new more finds, but the main picture is still here, that it is quite even. The distribution of the amber is quite even in Finland. So you can see that there is in every part, it's the amount of the amber, there isn't so much differences. So it's big question still that was the amber so rare in Finland as it has been told earlier on, or was the connection so tight to the Baltic countries that amber could be more common than we have previously thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions at the end of our session, maybe at the end of the session. Next speaker is, or speakers is Adomas Butrimas and Marius Iršēnas, Lietuva. Topic: amber discs with cross decoration.
Amber disc with cross decoration. The warmth, magnetic qualities and color of amber seem to be required, that the substance embody very important meanings. And from the memorial, the sun, the universe and the human model of the world came to be imagined in the Eastern Baltic region via amber artifacts, especially amber discs. Quite a large number of amber discs made during Neolithic period are found in Lithuania, Poland and Latvia, but there are one special amber disc with ornamentation which is found in Daktariškė settlement in Neolithic period. Its diameter is 3.6 centimeters, and here can see how it is decorated. And it is done from the good quality of yellowish amber, and it was found in peat bog habitation south layer, and so it's very good preserved, and it is a lot of good material for interpretation because of good preservations. Along the edges, 1, 2, or 4 small triangles are formed in each of the 4 parts in single and double broken lines of indentations. One small triangle with 2 lines of indentations was formed the smallest. Here is the reverse of this disc, and here is the system of ornamentation of these discs. The small triangle with 2 lines of indentations was formed in a smallest section marked out by cross. In the next section, clockwise on from the quarter, is 2 triangles were depicted by 1 double and 1 single line of indentations. The next quarter are 2 more such triangles, but only with double line of indentations. And the largest is from 4 lines of indentations, 2 double and 2 single. and it is expressed in zigzag form. By reason of those compositions, in each of the 4 quarters contain a different number of lines and indentations which increase as one's gaze moves clockwise. The smallest number of indentations in the quarter is 25, the largest is 50, while the middle quarters contain 37 and 38. The decorative elements on the side of the discs are set out according to the principle of turning symmetry. The cross itself contains 125 indentations, and the whole number of indentations of the disc is 275. All the numbers can divide from 25, except the quarters containing 37 and 38 indentations. But the sum of those is also 75. So then all the numbers in all parts of this can be divisible from 25. On the other side of the disk, it's also very interesting, you can see in the same slide, along with its edges of 8 different sized small triangles are formed by slight thin lines rather than indentations. But in triangles, different number of inscribed lines are not having any obvious symmetry. And the same magic numbers is in Trondheim. The sun disk, it's also 25 and 8. And in Buttinge, you can see on the slide, is 250 indentations. Also, it's visible with the same number. And to interpret this one, indentations from the second half of the disk, you can see festive cup from Nida, where we find on one side that is probably the oldest artistic motif in Lithuania, and perhaps even not. The other side, there is another motif. You can see that this is festive cup. From one side is this lines of sky, the rain and the man, and from another side of the pot is very different with those small different lives. And the other side have another motif. Beneath for horizontal celestial lines, there are triangles of 6 or 7 stretched bands, 7 sometimes. Such decoration is common in a lot of early European agricultural cultures. We made some symbols that is a symbol of agricultural fields. In the Amber, if the Amber craftsmen were asked to create a system of symbols that would fit into 4 quadrants of cross, this would be not easy task. We note that all 4 parts of the disk are unequal. The cross which divides is not completely regular, as is often the case when the disks are decorated solely with a cross or a cross surrounded by 2 or 3 lines of indentations, as for instance it was in Buttinge. In Buttinge, as you see, is 250 those. Again, the local community may have given the craftsmen who created the decorative discs from Daktariškė the task to represent a symbol system with which they were familiar. This is no easy task, because the composition comprises a cross made of triple lines and double and single zigzag lines in which the amounts of hollows in each of the parts may have significant the number required for the community to construct its own disc symbolism. The whole task was made even more difficult for the Neolithic artist because all of the complex system of counted hollows have to be fitted into a very small space. Its diameter is 3.6 centimeters. And some of the area of the disc was lost by the making hole in the center. And it remains only to marvel at the craftsman's skill, and there can be no doubt that these calculation skills were equally excellent. This extends our appreciation of the intellectual capacity of the craftsmen, in particular on the Neolithic communities that developed on the shores of Lake Biržulis in western Lithuania. And it is difficult to tell what sort of calculation system is marked by this decoration, or what symbolic, calendrial, calendar, or ritual, or other significances it may hold. Perhaps we should begin to search this meaning from the time, epoch in which it was created. This is epoch of transition to agriculture and husbandry. And the disc found at Dzintars 5 belongs to special group of these artifacts called discs with cruciform decorations. These discs represent a completely different idea and is different from those who are known in Neolithic, in early and middle Neolithic, without ornamentation. And we collect the discs with cross ornamentation and divided them into four parts. It's mainly the disc decorated. First group is the disc decorated only with a cross. Here you can see, and the cross is usually composed of double and triple lines. We have 12 of them. The group second is discs with cruciform decoration in the center and the ring form indentations in the edge. And Group 3 is this decoration of zigzag lines around, and Dzintars belong to the same. And you can see in the upper part that is one very similar disc found in territory of former East Prussia, now Poland. But other discs preservation is not in good conditions, so it is hard to calculate each disc and then to recreate the whole system. When we are mapping this spread of amber discs, we can notice that majority of them are spread in Western Lithuania and also in Eastern and the western point is in Polish territory is Słupsk, and eastern border is West Ukraine, and the greatest concentration is Masurian Lake area, and also the lagoons, Vistula lagoons and Kurisha Nerung lagoon. So here is the place of concentration, and you can see that in Masurian Lake lagoon and in Curonian Peninsula, the concentration of all three types of the discs existed. And also, what is important that we, from other discs, that we have radiocarbon dated from wetland settlements, because it is, and we can see here the dates from cultural layers of discs with cross indentation. And this is from Lithuania. It's Dzintars 5, Šventoji 1, and Šventoji 23, and it belong, as you see, belong to the said millennium before Christ. And majority of discs are found in the graves in global amphora culture, in Baltic coastal Ožucava culture, and some of them are in Zlota culture. And here you can see this Būtingė and the cross-decorated disc with battle axe, and also in Murzinovo in Poland is also found amber disc with battle axe and early coded via culture pottery. This would indicate that certain forms of discs were common to both global amphora culture and early stages of battle axe culture. At the same time, this marks another interesting circumstances. Both artifacts, the amber discs with cruciform decoration and the battle axe, are interpreted often as prestige objects. Here in its worth noting that the amber discs with cruciform decoration from Būtingė 25 settlement are also fired with carefully polished battle axe. Amber discs are found in male graves mainly. Most often they are found separately, even if more amber artifacts are put in the grave. Many researchers think that the amber cross decoration discs represent the sun and are connected with the cult of the sun, and the gold shining amber found in southeast Baltic coastline was a suitable material to express the symbol. But when we recall back to the 19th century, we know that Otto Tischler former archaeologist from 19th century, investigated how those discs are made, and he noticed that those symbolic artifacts was embellished further by pouring resin into hollows of those artifacts and add more lively color and luster of the object. So in this slide you can see a little bit this dark, perhaps from the resin. Archaeologists must understand that past societies from what they made. Rare, unique things and monumental constructions make for the most impressive artifacts which convey essential information for understanding the organization of past societies. Because of rarity, specific construction and technological quality of battle axes and amber discs with cruciform decoration, certain objects became effective and novel and took on a special value. When we talk about amber discs, they were buried first and foremost with individuals who may have been regarded by the community as guardians of such prestigious attributes, and whom data from ethnographic material frequently refer to having as knowledge, special powers, courage, prodignity, or supernatural powers. Prestige items have specific qualities. They can be exchanged easily. They can be quasi-monetary units, such as amber during the Neolithic period in the whole East Baltic, and they have value as a piece of wealth and be measured of wealth and standards. In order for this commercial value to be guaranteed, they have to have an agreed value within the large region so that they might be exchangeable easily. The prestige items might be symbolic objects which would be placed in the graves of the most important, powerful members of the community as sacrifices to supranational forces of symbols encoded in certain cultural memory of symbols and tradition. Those symbols, accompanied undoubtedly by oral transmission of tradition, permit past societies to convey complex ideas over quite a long period of time, as we can deduce from the broad chronology, about 1 millennium, and of the functioning of amber discs with cruciform decorations. Such artifacts as discs could be material expression of the rituals, able to awaken the expression of the past that was suppressed within them. The particular long development crosses over cultural periods and cultural boundaries. For example, from later time, we may know Transform discs and others in the Bronze Age. And now about the discs between sun and moon, that in the mystery of light and dark. The Neolithic period is one of transitions to new forms of economy and new forms of counting time. Through Europe, at last, from the 3rd millennia BC, the marking of the summer and winter solstices became very important. Communities living at the time in Western Europe developed particularly active formation of earth and stone constructions, and the synchronized of the solar and lunar calendars became an important, albeit not easy task for the people. We would detect the significance of these searches in our region in the iconography of amber discs with cross decoration. Without doubt, we cannot regard this ornamental system as having purely aesthetic functional motivation, as objects with only an aesthetic impulse. They were media for depicting various signs of visualizing the explanation of various rational and not completely rational meanings and creating the associations. We should note that in the global amphora culture, in its zone and in zone of its influence, and rather zone of influence of the field of ideas, we come across about 700 kilometers with the same ornamentation and sometimes even very, very similar things expressed in the discs. These are mostly symbols connected with the sun, and some of them have symbols typical of the sign of the moon. The turning symmetry of these discs and number of broken lines and hollows which increase in one direction evoke ideas of cyclic paths of the sun, sunrise and sunset. And who studied in European religion and the end of Neolithic and Bronze Age connect the period with the cult of the sun, and the sun becomes the main Saturn cult dominant. At the same time, we see that here is a disc from from Ukraine. Some of the discs has the same, very similar iconography in another side of the disc as from Nida with this adorant position. And perhaps other discs and similar composition are represented, but the state of, as I said, of preservation does not allow us to see this and what they might mean, what different ideas they might represent. In many cases, analysis of such disks, of solar disks, lead researchers to hypothesis that both sides are associated with sun and the moon. And here you have from Lithuanian Neolithic two things which can perhaps represent the moon. Undoubtedly, the mystery of change of the light and dark and back was important to people at that time. It is interesting that when analyzing the Dzintars disk on the other side, we see repeatedly a number 25 and another number 8. We find also that it was in Trondholm disks, and the repetition of particular numbers in ritual context or objects intended for them indicates that the people who made and used the discs decorated with cross and triangles follow a calendar, counted, and were able to compute variously, and this permitted them to organize the check on the world around them and establish the cyclic nature of the movement of the sun and moon. These discs were both symbols of high social status and a way of establishing the time and calendar holidays, harbingers of the great midsummer and midwinter festivals. And we see some Baltic context from later periods and the end.
Thank you. So, next speaker is Simona Raffanelli, Italy. Oh, very nice. And the topic is the figurated amber from Vetulonia.
I explain. Allora. Oh, thanks. Dardega maybe will be my voice because I lost the voice because I'm ill. I start ill from Italy. Good evening and thank you to be here. And thanks to all the organization of the Congress and to Dardega who helped me in this organization. I try to begin to read and then, if I don't manage, continue Dardega. So now let's the change, let's the time and the situation, because we wanted to go in Italy and in one of the most important Etruscan town, Vetulonia, in the 8th and the 7th century before Christ. Sì, se mi aiuti, if you help. Thank you very much. Okay. So, the theme of carved ambers found in Vetulonia is part of a broader question, that of the movement and the local processing of raw material widely exported in the peninsula since prehistoric times. As you know, There are many groups of ambers carved distributed in Italy, from the Po Valley, in Piceno, in Etruria, Lazio, Campania, Basilicata, which have individuals, stylistic characteristics, and therefore seem to be attributed to craftsmen who work on site. The purpose of my speech is not to deal with the great problem of the identification of the centers of production. I intend to make a few observations of iconographic semantic character about carved ambers from Vetulonia, recognized as the main center for the production of ambers carved in the Orientalizing period, the end of the 8th and the 7th century before Christ, in Etruria. It's a phenomenon that appears to be the development of an experience gained in the 8th century BC with the production of necklace beads and scaraboidi, a particular production we will see. The experience of Vetulonia would follow that of Veii, another important Etruscan city of the south of Etruria, the most ancient center of production in Etruscan and Latin area, where already in the 8th century BC appear human figures and crouching monkey, highly stylized. After the discovery of Vetulonia by the doctor Isidoro Falchi at the end of the 19th century, many pit tombs of the Villanovan tape give back numerous finds in amber, placed mainly, but not exclusively, in female grave goods. The Iron Age graves are limited to documenting the presence of necklace beads mixed with glass pastes beads and scaraboidi on the right, like scarab. Their quantity and the repetition of the peculiar striped configuration has led to hypothesize a local production at imitation of Egyptian scaraboidi arrived through the Phoenician trade. In the fossa trench graves of Orientalizing period, inserted with a circle of stones vertically driven into the ground to mark the space for the burial of members of the same family group, the so-called Etruscan tombs at circle, that you can look from April of this year at Vetulonia, because Isidoro Falchi, who discovered Vetulonia at the end of 19th century, found a lot of this kind of tomb with a stone circle. But now at Vetulonia, no one is visible. Just this, the first who Falchi discovered in 1886, named the tomb at circle of dux, Latin word. Okay. I escaped this tomb to put on and to permit to the visitors to can see this typical tomb of Vetulonia. These kind of tombs give back the number and type of carved ambers that grow considerably, especially in the female grave goods that exhibit a great profusion of ambers jewelry made with a technique of engraving that denotes a high-level craftsmanship. Its necklace beads and pendants in various forms, double conical, spherical, double pyramid, column like this on the left, and drop like this on the right, peculiar to the production of Vetulonia. There are spacers for the wear of the necklace and and coating to fibulas with bronze bow. Seals, jewelry, tarsias made of other materials, bronze or ivory. Finally, especially in the Middle Orientalizing period, there are pendants representing zoomorphic and anthropomorphic subjects that, mostly because of the homogeneity of technical and stylistical character, seem to be attributed to the work of one or more local shops. As to the creativity of this atelier, the fish figure, e.g. exemplum gratia, seems to be invented for the first time in the atelier of Vetulonia. Maybe you can think Baltic fish if you want. The fish figure, where appear in the circle a tomb of this kind, in the circle of the jewels and in the circle of the trident in Vetulonia. Later, this kind of figure ambra is documented in the grave goods of 6th and 5th century BC in the Padana Valley, Bologna and Spina centers. The originality and inventiveness of the carvers of ambars at Vetulonia is apparent in the invention of new subjects and in their ability to introduce original features in the realization of subjects widely attested in this period in the entire Etruscan Latin area, such as the nude family figure and the monkey crouching with his elbows pointed on his knees and his chin supported by the hands. These two subjects, frequently associated with even in the coeval grave goods of Veio, Narce, Satricum and Preneste, have some particularities in Vetulonia. On the one hand, the long braid hanging behind his back until nearly at the foot, and the jewelry, necklace and bracelets of the female figurines in the tomb of the circle of the jewels, and on the other hand, the base on the left, the base supported by 4 little feet that are configured in wineskins, like things Professor Negroni Catacchio in this room who speech tomorrow, on drops, another scholar, on which you set the monkey curled up from the tombed circle of the trident. Vetulonia's monkey are characterized by a greater plasticity and accuracy in the execution of the figure and the details than those more stylized coming from the other towns of Etruscan and Latin territory. On the other hand, they seem to find the most compelling parallels with decorative elements in amber and bronze configured in a squatting monkey given back from contemporary grave goods of Verrucchio on Adriatic Sea. It was likely active a workshop, if not a full-fledged school, of local carvers and whose cultural commercial relationships with the Etruscan Vetulonia appear very tight and witnessed by the occurrence of common patterns and by the inclusion within the same commercial channels interested both at the supply of raw materials, both to the circulation and exchange of related products. Just capture the same ideal content that underlines in both centers the creation of some furniture for banquet, like the same little and slow table in bronze at Vetulonia, in wood at Verrucchio, or other kind of cups decorated with the lady of the animals, and so on. Moreover, Verruccio's artifacts, like those of Vetulonia, give evidence of a close collaboration of different skills within the same atelier. At Vetulonia, the presence of silver inserts into the eyes of the female figurines in amber from the tomb circle of jewels, in addition to testify the originality of local production, led us to hypothesize the activities of goldsmiths alongside the master carvers within the same workshop. On the other hand, from the atelier of Verrucchio, they come out bronze fibule, and bones fibule with amber inserts, gold fibule with inlays of amber, fibule with arc clad in gold and amber, next to the tools of the banquet, the main indicators of high social status, represented by weapons of bronze, inlaid and decorated in amber, and even the spindle in amber, on interior bronze wire painted. Narrow appear at Vetulonia the affinities of the translations in different material, such as amber or bronze, of the same decorative subject, fast among all the squatting monkey on the figurine standing in a double version, often complementary, of a stylized human figure or figurine anthropoid with markedly epish traits. In the rich contest of curved ambers from the tomb at Circle of the Jewels appears another new subject in Vetulonia that has not comparison in the same center, nor is documented in the other peninsular center. It's represented by the pendant of a necklace that shows a figure seated on a throne, which keeps between his legs a second smaller figure. In describing this jewel, Isidoro Falchi identifies the two characters in two human figures and publishes in the table of illustrations relating to objects recovered and grave goods of the tomb at Circle of the Jewels in Vetulonia a drawing of this object, where the seated figure still appears intact and with its head that is now lost or removed. The scholar Massaro, representing this object between Vetulonia's ambers in 1949 article, defines the two figures as gods enthroned with a dog's fetus between the legs, and considers the head of the seated figure reattached, evidently following a fracture, doesn't belong to the object. In subsequent archaeological literatures, other scholars seem to align themselves to the definition already given by Nuccia, Negroni, Catacchio of female figure on the throne with monkey in her womb. The careful observation of drawing of Falchi, supported by the autopsy of the original, conserved in the Museum National Archaeological of Florence, allowing you to recognize the lower and the upper limbs of the smaller figure, actually inserted between the legs uncovered of the bigger sitting figure, allows you to see the same stylistic translation of the limbs in addition to general affinity observed in the overall appearance of the two small figure of the two characters. An affinity that it's possible extend maybe at the same rendering of the face, marked in the small figure from markedly ape-like traits, simian traits, than those in the face of the seated figure, which, judging solely by the design of Falchi, seems closer to face of the naked female figure standing belonging to the same funerary contest. However, on closer reflection, The main difficulty in identifying correctly the two characters does not reside so much in the loss of the head of the seated figure, as in fact that within the framework of the small orientalizing plastic in amber and bronze of Etruria, it's extremely difficult to draw a distinction between the representation of the human figure, often extremely coarse or stylized, and the figure marked with apish traits, or better to say, the anthropoid ape. It's enough in this regard compare inside of the jewels, circles, grave goods, the two types of necklaces pendants in the form of naked female figure standing, where the human stilized type is accompanied by the type without female ornaments, attested in contemporaneous in the circle of bes, characterized by the presence of breasts inserted in other material on the left, and by a face more animalistic than the other face. Or just compare the decorative elements in bronze of the horse bit, set by Falchi in form of a clumsy human figure, coming from the same circle tomb of the jewels, with two the decorative elements of bronze horse bits recovered from Falchi in the circle of the Sphinx, configured at anthropoid ape, or observe the bronze element coming from the circle of Bes adorned by the two groups of free apes. Or finally, observe the culmination of the Regivasi to take the cups in bronze from Costiaccia Bambagini, where the central figure standing with his hands on the heads of two monkeys crouched symmetrically on either side of it, variously interpreted as a human figure between two monkeys or as a third monkey, turns out to be perfectly comparable to the two bronze figures that make up the famous erotic group from Costiaccia Bambagini in Vetulonia. In these two figures, on the right, the face in form of bird's beak or little shield, strongly elongated and projecting, invokes an animalistic snout, giving the indication, once again, of the iteration of the anthropoid ape's iconography, or, to put it with the rebuffa, of the human figure scimmificata, turned into monkey. Moreover, as already emphasized by the scholar Rebuffa, the distance between the human image or divine image and that of the monkey is less than you might suppose. Barnett, describing the ivories from Nimrud in the catalogue of the British Museum, after analyzing the thematic content and the figurative content, says that the monkeys or the apes anthropoids had to be loaded with some amuletic or religious significance, probably connected with the sphere of fertility because of the propensity phallic, maintain the erect phallus of the animal. It's a well-documented tendency among the artifacts in bronze from Vetulonia by the above group from Costiaccia Bambagini on the right, and the support for vessels cover in the form of anthropoid ape with erect phallus from the circle of the Tritone. In the examination of the Eastern artifacts led by Barnett stands the representation of the nude goddess, repeated twice on the ivory handle of the Syrian flabellum, 8th century BC, accompanied by a pair of young men who held in his hand the sacred tree buds, and from two monkeys crouched with his hands to hold the muzzle, curved next to the head of the goddess. The same association between the goddess of birth and the monkey is in a Sumerian clay and in the seal from Tel Duvair, which exhibits monkeys anthropoids on sacred tree, posed next to the goddess committed to tie her breasts in front of an adoring devotee sitting. At two men climbed on a palma, alias sacred tree, are flanked by two monkeys in one fresco at Mari, and in perfect pandan with them, the monkeys are climbing on the tree of life in the lower face of Egyptian scarab, or in Egyptian style found at Carthago. The exegetical key that underlies the choice made by the craftsman and before by the purchaser to adopt particular subjects in order to process objects or their decorative elements intended to compose the grave goods, I think is mostly connected, if not almost exclusively, to the theme of fertility, like a clear and essential premise to the new birth or rebirth after death. This is a theme already apparent in the most ancient Villanovan graves, applicant in the presence of Egyptian scaraboid or Egyptian type, placed in the grave of Vetulonia, taking into account the fact that in Egyptian environment, the scaraboid placed on earth of the dead had the magical power to make it as light as a feather, ensuring to the dead, with the success of the waiting of souls in the final judgment, a secure and happy life's continuation in the afterlife. The monkey, which is associated with the goddess of life, the goddess who gives origin and nourishment to all other vital forms, on which reign supreme, a sort of Eastern Astarte Potniateron, the monkey, I said, could share and at the same time could strengthen the meaning of reproduction of life, as might suggest in a different animal context, the monkey on the back of the so-suckling pig on the Hermitage scarab. The schema of Potniateron, lady of affairs and of life, with a central figure between two animal figures, is the same, repeated in the handles at fretwork of cups found in Vetulonia and in Verrucchio, that we found replicated on the bronze Regivasi stop from Costiaccia Bambagini, which the simian figure erected between the two squatting figures reflects the conceptual and formal construction of golden ornament from Aegena's treasure. To the same sphere of fertility, reproduction, and the circularity of life circle alludes to, in addition to the bronze figurines phallic, the figurative sheen engraved on seal pendant from circle of trident in Vetulonia, which a quadrupedal animal with phallus erectus and the second small quadruped nourished from a human figure. But in particular, it is necessary to focus attention on the gesture of the hands of the female figure on a throne, with a smaller figure between her legs, independent in number from the circle of the jewels, where, beyond of any plausible identification of these two figures, her goddess with the monkey, or as human figure or anthropoid figure with his offspring, it's possible to distinguish the same gesture repeated with more emphasis in naked female figurines standing, belonging perhaps, as in the modern restoration proposal, at the same necklace on the right. As it seems to happen also in other Etruscan and late engraved goods, such as those of Palestrina, recomposed within the collection Castellani in the Museum of Villa Giulia at Rome, also in the necklace from the Circle of the Jewels, the female figures alternate themselves to monkeys crouched, recreating the goddess naked and monkey association already detected in Near Eastern world, Syro-Phoenician in particular. Openly allusive to the parturient's attitude, the gesture of hands that press on the belly had to be considered alternative to that applicant as a gesture widely related to fertility and to the perpetuation of life, represented by the act to tighten your breasts with your hand performed by the naked goddess, the Eastern Astarte Potnia. It's possible to find this jest in the iconography of the naked goddess from Marsiliana d'Albania, from the tombed circle of the Golden Fibula at the southern end of the territory of Vetulonia, further underlining by the gesture made by the other arm, where the hand holds below the breast pressed the jar to collect the valuable content. A gesture that is of the two hands on the belly abdomen that has to be kept distinct from apparently similar gestures of grief and funeral lamentation, with one or both hands bring to the chest or in the chest and abdomen, which replicated from numerous examples from bronze of Novilara to one of the two stone statues from Casale Marittimo and until to the so-called warrior of Capestrano, seems variously attributable to pain in the funerary sphere or to the pietas dignitas of the devout within generically religious situation. Refers to the attitude of the parturient woman, also a different iconography of origin and Eastern influence of the Potnia Teronna Astarte, understood as the goddess who gives life, sculptured in relief as a female figure with her legs spread over prospectus in some metopa panels of large slabs of stone placed in Tarquinia to the closure of the long dromoi corridors to access to the great chamber tombs. The gesture of the two hands brought to the abdomen, which can be found earlier already in prehistoric Europe, as a long... I finish, just 2 minutes. Okay, only 2. In abdomen pose originates with certainly. The gesture is evident in the Tomb of the Jewels due to the simultaneous presence of the big female figure and of the small, placed between the legs, that replicate a small side her physiognomy. The birth of a being is here evoked by the larger figure sitting, to which the presence of the throne gives royal and divine dignity. In Greek art, the iconography of the goddess on a throne is reserved mainly to the mother goddess, the Potnia Teronna Astarte, which represent the early version of the Artemis Potnia or Aphrodite Potnia, before their differentiation through the various divine attributes. One must not forget, in that regard, the presence in the so-called tomb of Mut of Vetulonia of a statuette of the mother goddess of the pantheon of Thebes in Egypt, wife of Ammon, seated on a throne in the act of breastfeeding of her son Khonsu. The hieroglyphic accompanying the figure of Mut states that the goddess who speaks is Mut, the lady of life. The exotic objects in amber and glass that accompany the curved ambers in Betulonia further emphasize the concept of fertility, birth, rebirth. Their Egyptian provenance is probably the same of the amulet in the shape of monkey, which Wartzenburg considered as a semantic equivalent of the Egyptian god Bes, protector of birth, on the left. Amulets in the shape of monkey had perhaps apotropaic virtues. Actually, Rebuffare, covering Vercutter, says that magical papyri underline the apotropaic power of the excrements of monkey burned. The influence of Egyptian models, together with those of Eastern Greece, of northern Syria and Phoenicia, were investigated by Demetrius Wartzenburg in his studies of the ambers from Satricum. These, while repeating types present not only in Vetulonia but in Etruria and Latium, were probably made in local factories. As a matter of fact, that the raw amber was found at Satricum in archive votive deposits, as previously in the tombs of Vetulonia. In particular, the ambers of the tomb number 6 show not only some peculiar subjects anthropomorphic and zoomorphic, but also monkey squatting and figures female standing, immortalizing the gesture of the modesty or of fertility. Wartzenberg emphasized the stylistic elements of Egyptian origin, but also Eastern Greek and Oriental, in the experience of the immigrant artist who carved the precious jewels in Italic land to meet the desire and the taste of rich local patrons. The scholar emphasized also the importance of the Syro-Phoenician lane. Its trade activities are responsible for the spread and transmission of those models and their meaning in the West. Once in the Western Mediterranean, perhaps together with the word arimo, that according to a gloss of Hesychius defines the monkey in the Etruscan language, these iconographic models have continued to inform the production of carved ambers in Italy for more than a century. They survived until the 6th century BC, when both in the Etruscan Po Valley and in southern Italy, and to a small extent in the same Mediterranean area, it states the preference for dependence at female heads. I finish. These carved ambers, recognized as heads of divinity from Nuccia Negroni and identified by Balnati as heads of Astarte Potnia Teron or Artemis Aphrodite Turan, were worn as talismans. Their protective capabilities were added to the therapeutic quality of the amber itself, as well known to the same Pliny the Elder, who praises them in the book 37 of his natural history. Thanks, and sorry for my long.
So, next presentation, Milton Nunez, Grazia Vui, Gonzales Marcen, and Mora Torkal, Finland and Spain. Topic: an amber bead spacer from Forat de la Conquesta, Catalonia.
Okay, this is a view of the Forat de la Conqueta cave, and you see the excavation below. Forat is a Catalonian word for hole, and many caves in the area are called Forat. I will call it just cave. I was visiting this site during excavations in 2007, and being there, one of my colleagues brought me a dirty piece of something that looked like it was lightweighted and it looked like a bead, and he didn't know what it is, and I said, it's probably amber, and it's probably interesting because it may be an early Baltic import. I was supposed to go to Spain now, to Barcelona in the summer to look at the clean object, but I couldn't. But my friends sent me pictures, and in the summer, and I looking at this, and also going into the subject of amber in Spain, showed me that things were not simple as I thought they were. So it brought up many questions. Here today I'm going to address two. What is it, and where did it come from? And this is the location of the site. It lies 500 meters above sea level in the foothills of the Catalonian Pyrenees, about 120 kilometers northwest of Barcelona. It's a very barren, rocky landscape full of rocky walls, honeycombed by caves. And here is this is the lower entrance of the cave. And I say lower entrance, but you can see it is 3 meters above the base of the cave. Here is the entrance, which is about 1.5 meters wide, and it gets narrow to 35 centimeters. I just made it in, and then it opens to a chamber, a larger chamber, which then it's where it was used as burial. Oh, by the way, that is the chamber before excavation, and the picture is taken from the top. It was another entrance from the top, and that's probably where they lowered the dead, because it would have been difficult through that 35 centimeter gap. Inside, there were the remains of over 40 burials, men, women, and children, represented by commingled bones, and they were at different stages of cremation, and there were also 4 articulated skeletons. The dates are 11 AMS dates from 3,300 to 1,100. In other words, local late Neolithic through the Bronze Age. Grave goods, there were nothing special. Pottery, stone and bone implements, some ornaments made of bronze, rings, and shell. But there was one amber object. And this is what brought me here. At first, when I saw it there, I thought it was something like this Danish finds, a small bead or button or a small bead spacer. Later, after I've seen the clean object, I think that it is not. For example, at least it seems to be recycled. It probably was larger. It's a piece of a larger spacer, and it has been perforated. I mean, for example, you see that is a very new hole in the and also there are some details of its morphology also that suggest that it is not the original shape of the object. For example, I said that the new perforations, they are even oblique. They're not like normally would be, opposite to one another. And there is also another thing in the shape of it that, as you can see, has these concave sides, which I think it is a larger broken spaces that has been fixed by smoothing the sharp edges, and then making it a pendant or a bead. And the reason I say that, I have taken some of Dugardin's illustration of broken bead spacers. And so you can see they break along the perforations, and they leave these concave sides. Particularly those at the end there are very similar to that. If you smooth the sides, you will get that shape that I have there. But I thought, well, it is easy. No, it's not. I found out that Spain is rich in amber deposits. There's over 120 amber, oh, I have to stay here. Over 120 localities with amber. And some of them are quite good quality, as you can see over there. So the question was, local? I also learned that already from the Paleolithic, the local inhabitants were collecting amber. Amber is fairly common in upper Paleolithic sites in northern Spain. You can see some of those. Those are from the Cantabrian area where they occur in the Paleolithic sites or Mesolithic sites, and it is raw amber, it's not working, but it is picked up. These are natural deposits, but the ones A and B are from Paleolithic, Mesolithic sites. Aurignacian to Mesolithic, if you want to be more. And these are from the Cantabrian area, 4 clusters, which you have the Paleolithic sites, and in the red, they are the Cretaceous amber deposits. So they seem to, they are apparently local, at least some of them have been analyzed, suggest that they are local. And it's interesting, they're all, even one from Chalcolithic site, or 2 Chalcolithic sites, which are raw amber, I mean, unworked, but in tombs, they are local. But the only one in this area which is an actual bead, and it has been analyzed, it is of Baltic origin. And now I'm going to show you some pictures. I mean, this is the analysis of these ambers. Up there is the Baltic spectrum, which is what I call the Baltic shoulder. Then there are 2 local geological samples, and then these 3 are raw amber from Paleolithic sites, and they are effectively local. That one is from a Chalcolithic site on the top, and that also appears to be local. But the bead that I mentioned in the Larrate site has the Baltic shoulder, and is Baltic. Now I'm going to show you a few pictures with the spectrum of the sites. This is from Galicia in the northwest, and you have, they have a Baltic control on the top, and here are the 2 beads, and they are Baltic. The spectrum shows that they are Baltic. Here you have not Baltic, not local, but Sicilian amber, and Montelirio in Valencia, southern Spain, had what appears to be a pump of a sword, of a dagger, and it is actually appears to be Sicilian. This is a Baltic. You have Montelirio over there, 2 Sicilian control samples and 1 Baltic control, and you can see that it is not Baltic, but at least that's what the. And then here are 2 more. Another one from Sicilia, from Andalusia or from Sevilla, and this is Baltic from Palacio 3, and that has a Baltic spectrum, and also one from Murisex in Lleida, which is only about 20 kilometers from Furat de la Conqueta, from our cave, and that also is Baltic, and up there is a Baltic control. And if we go now to Catalonia, still in my vote for independence soon, but it's still part of Spain, in northeast Spain. I show you already Murisex, and these are 2 more necropolis with amber, and they have been analyzed, and they're also Baltic. You have to see the shoulder there. So all the analyzed sites from Catalonia are Baltic, and we have in the green the Conqueta cave, which hasn't been analyzed, unfortunately, but it is, as you can see, very close. Resuming what I just told you about Spanish amber, we have Paleolithic and Mesolithic sites where all the ambers are raw amber, unworked, and the analyzed ones indicate that they are local amber. In the Neolithic and early Bronze Age, mainly, then there are now artifacts, worked ornaments, and they are of mixed origins. Some of them are from Baltic, as you can see in red, and some of them are Sicilian amber, which are in blue. And the circle means where the cave, our site is, the Conqueta cave. And in the late Bronze Age, early Iron Age, all worker artifacts, all of are all work artifacts, and they are all from the Baltic. So there is. Now, to concluding remarks, the inhabitants of Iberia have known amber for 35,000 years. The Paleolithic and Mesolithic sites have amber, which occurs in raw chunks, and they are from local deposits. Their amber beads and pendants then appear in the Neolithic, and they are used through the Bronze Age. They seem to be imports, either Baltic or Sicilian, but some, which are maybe not analyzed, we don't know, could be local, but so far none has been analyzed, shown to be local. All analyzed, I said that, from the Bronze Age and early age, ambers are of Baltic origin. Now, the amber find from Conqueta cave, which dates from the 4th to the 2nd, sometime it was all mixed there, so it's difficult to tell the date, but from the 4th to the 2nd millennium could be in principle Baltic, Sicilian, or local. However, Sicilian amber finds seem to concentrate in the south and west coasts, which were the trade routes for tin and so on. And the evidence of local amber industry and local amber industry is rather tenuous, to say the least. Furthermore, all the ambers found in Catalonia that have been analyzed are from Baltic origins. Consequently, I am inclined to think that the Conqueta amber find is also Baltic. Time will tell if they are analyzed. So this leads to a very crucial question: is why ignore good local material? But that's another story. Thank you.
And now questions.
Well, can you answer the question? Have you an idea of why ignore the local material?
I'm sorry.
I wonder, you have that question. Do you have any answer to it?
Well, I thought I'd write it in. I thought I write it in the paper, but it is. I mean, there could be many reasons. One could be that there were not people didn't have the skills. Maybe the local amber was difficult to get. I mean, because you have to mine it. It's not like here it comes in the beach. And also that when you get to it, it may be more brittle because the amber that you find in the beach is being washed on the shore. So the weak parts have gone. And you have actually, a real good core. So maybe that is the reason. Also, it may be tradition. I don't know. There's something I would like to ponder upon, but I don't really have the answer. It could be many. It may be that it is, we're importing things from, other places in the world where we, we could have them here. So.
One more Kazimieras Mizgiris Amber Museum Gallery, Vilnius and Nida. I want to ask one question to Patrick and another to Simona. Patrick, in Juotkrantė, we in the water in Coronion Lagoon, but Robert Richard Klebs find 434 old artifacts in the water. My question is to you. Also, you say in Finland you also have some artifacts in the water. Can you answer why in the water? And question to Simona. Verukio is Villanova Kultur, yes? And can you explain me, I see very, very good quality and the figures. These figures need a lot of amber and very, very good quality. Do you know how many amber goes to Etruscus from Baltic? Do you find some big pieces together with figures? Thank you.
Okay.
That's the second one for Simona.
Okay, that was a very good question. First of all, there is finds from the bog area. Those has been previously in the Stone Age. They have just dropped into the water, sea, for some reason, by accidentally, and later on those bogs, those shores and waters has become as a bog. So that is one reason. But the real water finds in the lake of Astuvansalmi, it seems that they are like sacrifications because the site is rock painting. There is a lot of rock paintings just beside the finding place, and all the artifacts from the water is similar human-faced and that kind of very special artifacts. So surely it is something to do with the sacrification.
Hope to have well understood. Okay. You say that the quality of the embers carved from Verrucchio is height. Okay, I understand. And the same for Vetulonia. Okay. And do you ask? You ask to me if it's the same root of amber, and or what relationship between Vetulonia and Verrucchio, because maybe we have contemporary objects from grave goods in Vetulonia and Verrucchio. Because Verrucchio are 8th, 7th century BC, and the same in the tomb at Circle, and firstly in the pit tombs, Villanovan tombs in Vetulonia. The high quality of Verrucchio is particular because the ambers were found in the water, in effect, because the tombs of Verrucchio were full of water. Ora non lo so dire in inglese, ma praticamente era... Ecco, in a damp ground, because the geological formation of Verrucchio earth was full of water. So not only amber, you can see if you go to visit the museum in Verrucchio, we can see also precarious materials, not only amber, but also wood, thrown, and organic material are preserved, dresses, mantles in mantelli di stoffa, come si dice? Textiles are conserved in Verrucchio for this reason, because the water into the tombs. The same not happens in Vetulonia, but the color and the oxidation of amber determines a different red, cube red color of the amber of Vetulonia. Maybe the root of amber all come from Baltic area. From this area arrive in Vetulonia and in Verrucchio. Maybe we have the same street because some scholars of us, of Etruscan scholars, think that Verrucchio is straightly connected to Vetulonia. Someone thinks also that Verrucchio is a colony from Etruscans of Vetulonia. So the street is the same, is strongly connected. And the quality is height because probably height was the level, technological level, or the articrafts and or the craftsmen of the school, one in Verrucchio, one in Vetulonia. Are different schools, but of high quality. I hope to answer to you.
More questions?
I would like to ask to the colleague of Barcelona, if you are planning to make analysis of this material, to analyze, do you think to, are you intend to?
It is my colleagues. It is up to my colleagues to do it. I mean, I am here and I'm in Finland. And they are there. And I was visiting, and that's when I realized, but as I say, I was surprised of the amount of amber and the very good quality they have there, and surprised that it wasn't used. But, you know, sometimes, you know, the grass is greener on the other side. So.
One small question. One small question to Patrick about this house depressions. When you excavate only these depressions all around them, all whole area, and where you find out these ember things.
Yes, the excavations are larger than just the house pits, dwellings, and of course the nearby area, but the main concentration are at the house depressions for the amber finds. Yes, there is also outside of the houses there is also finds, but mainly at the houses.
One short question for Patrick. Excuse me, you are archaeologist. Perhaps you find where grows the amber forest in Finland? Do you know the place? A lot of tourists ask me what I can answer him.
No, I haven't found an amber forest yet from the excavation. That's a good question. A big problem is that Ice Age glaciation has destroyed evidences. So, but maybe in the future,
I think we could have time for one more question. Is there any? No?
So, now coffee break.